The sun beats down on the bleachers of a near-empty high school field in West Columbia, Texas. Cam Ward stands alone at midfield, ball in hand, eyes fixed on a makeshift target downfield. There are no cameras, no recruiting stars next to his name. Just sweat, silence, and something to prove. Flash forward 5 years. The NFL commissioner approaches the podium in Detroit.
With
The
the
room
first pick
falls silent.
in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
2 moments, one journey, the story of a player who wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't built in the factory line quarterback mold. No elite academy, no polished 7-on-7 highlight reels, no recruitment buzz. In fact, Cam Ward graduated high school with exactly 0 Power 5 offers. The best he could do, Incarnate Word, a tiny FCS program most football fans couldn't even locate on a map. That's where this story begins. Not with expectation, but with rejection. Fast forward 5 years, and Ward is about to be the first name called at the 2025 NFL Draft. And not just by anyone, by the Tennessee Titans, a franchise that hasn't had a true franchise quarterback since Steve McNair. A team starving for a savior. But make no mistake, this isn't just a comeback story. It's a reset button. For the Titans, for Ward, for what a number 1 pick is even supposed to look like. Because Cam Ward didn't take the elevator. He built the damn staircase himself. From 0-star recruit to Washington State transfer to Miami star to the pinnacle of the NFL Draft. He didn't just climb the mountain. He carved handholds into it with each throw, each comeback, each doubter silenced. Now, the kid no one wanted is carrying the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders. A franchise desperate for direction. A franchise whose last playoff win came in January 2020. A franchise in need of more than just a quarterback, but an identity. Not long ago, the Tennessee Titans looked like a team built to last. They had Derrick Henry, unbreakable, unstoppable, and downright mythological at his peak. They had A.J. Brown, a homegrown star who played with a chip on his shoulder and the production to match. They had Mike Vrabel, a coach who brought grit and identity to a franchise searching for both. In 2019, they came within 1 game of the Super Bowl, shocking the Patriots and Ravens before falling to the eventual champion Chiefs. By 2021, they had locked up the AFC's number 1 seed despite losing Henry for half the season. From the outside, it looked like a franchise on the brink of greatness. But internally, the cracks were already forming. It started with one decision, the trade of A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. Vrabel reportedly opposed it. The front office did it anyway. And when Brown torched Tennessee for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first game against them, the damage wasn't just on the scoreboard. It was in the building. General Manager John Robinson was fired immediately after the loss, sending a message that dysfunction had taken root. From that point on, it was free fall. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill aged out of relevance. First-round picks like Isaiah Wilson and Caleb Farley flamed out spectacularly. The offensive line collapsed. The defense, once dominant, sprang leaks everywhere. And in 2023, the Titans finished 6-11, worst in the Vrabel era. Then came the gut punch. Ownership cleaned house. Vrabel was gone. The man who had guided them to the AFC Championship and back-to-back division titles was shown the door. In came Brian Callahan, a first-time head coach who'd worked closely with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Later, Ran Carthon was also dismissed, with Kansas City's Mike Borgonzi brought in to rebuild from the ground up. But they didn't inherit a blank slate. They inherited a mess. Tennessee had no clear quarterback of the future. Will Levis, once viewed as a potential heir, had flamed out, showing flashes but little consistency. The offensive weapons, thin. The line, barely serviceable. The defense, overpaid and underperforming. Even the division was no longer a safe harbor. C.J. Stroud had arrived in Houston, Trevor Lawrence was heating up in Jacksonville, and the Colts were retooling with Anthony Richardson. The 2024 season only confirmed the diagnosis: 3-14, worst in the AFC, and dead last in their division. A team once feared for their physicality was now pitied for their ineptitude. And yet, amid the chaos, they held the #1 pick. For the first time in 2 decades, Tennessee had a chance to define their future. Not patch it, not band-aid it, redefine it, reset it. All it would take was the right quarterback, not just someone who could throw a pretty deep ball, someone who had already fought through fire and come out forged, someone who understood how to carry a franchise that didn't just want a savior, but needed one. Enter Cam Ward. In the world of college football, where 4- and 5-star prospects dominate headlines before they even graduate high school, Cameron Ward was invisible. A 0-star recruit from West Columbia, Texas, a town most people couldn't find on a map, let alone imagine producing the future face of an NFL franchise. The Ward family wasn't connected to football royalty. His father, Calvin Ward, wasn't an ex-NFL player or high-profile coach, just a dedicated dad who believed in his son's dream when nobody else did. From those early days throwing footballs in the yard, Calvin spotted something in his son that recruiting services would miss for years: the intangible blend of poise, work ethic, and quiet confidence that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. Cam was always that kid who'd be up at 5 a.m. asking me to go throw, Calvin once recalled. We'd be out there before school, after school, weekends. He was obsessed with getting better. That obsession didn't translate to recruiting buzz. His high school, Columbia High, didn't run an offense built to showcase a quarterback. They ran the wing tee, a relic of the past where quarterbacks hand the ball off, maybe throw 10 times a game, and hope the scoreboard doesn't get too lopsided. One of Ward's high school coaches, Steve Van Meter, saw it firsthand. First time he threw for me, I told him to bring his own receivers next time. Joked that I wasn't breaking my fingers for him. His arm talent was obvious, but the system just didn't show it. Ward's high school stats reflected the limitations. Barely 1,000 yards his senior year on just 124 passing attempts. No Power 5 program called. No regional buzz. No Elite 11 invite. He had one scholarship offer, the University of the Incarnate Word, a small FCS program in San Antonio. Most quarterbacks with that resume don't end up on NFL radars. Many would have walked away, bitter at a system that failed to recognize their talent. But that's not how Cam Ward was built. I took it personal, Ward would later say. I wake up and tell myself I'm the best player in the country every day. This wasn't just teenage bravado. It was a mental framework that would carry him through every obstacle. While other highly recruited quarterbacks enjoyed the benefits of elite coaching and national attention, Ward was in the shadows, grinding, developing an edge that can't be taught at quarterback camps. Calvin Ward turned into an impromptu agent, cutting up film, driving to camps, sending emails that often went unanswered. Those 4 a.m. wake-ups to drive 5 hours to small school camps weren't glamorous, but they were necessary. At those camps, away from the spotlight, Ward would show flashes of what was to come. Anticipation throws that turned heads, deep balls that made coaches whisper. But validation wouldn't come easily. That single offer from Incarnate Word wasn't a golden ticket. It was just enough of an opening for Ward to kick the door down himself. When Cam Ward arrived at the University of the Incarnate Word in 2020, he wasn't expected to make immediate waves. The FCS program in San Antonio, Texas, had never been a football powerhouse. They weren't even the most prominent college football team in their own city. Ward entered as a developmental prospect, third on the depth chart, just another freshman trying to find his footing. But internally, he had already set his expectations. I'm going to win and start, he told his father. Calvin tried to temper his son's ambitions, suggesting patience might be necessary. Ward's response was simple but revealing. Do you believe in me? Then COVID-19 changed everything. The pandemic pushed the 2020 season to spring 2021, giving Ward extra months to learn the system and impress his coaches. By the time the delayed season kicked off, the former zero-star recruit had won the starting job. With only 6 games on the schedule, every snap carried extra weight. No one expected what happened next. In his collegiate debut against McNeese State, Ward threw for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns. The following week against Southeastern Louisiana, 407 yards and 6 touchdowns. By his third start, it was clear this wasn't beginner's luck. It was the emergence of a special talent. Football just came natural to him, remembered UIW head coach Eric Morris. When I first met him, he could just throw the football. Unbelievable, but he had that air about himself that you want as a quarterback. People followed him. Across that abbreviated 6-game season, Ward compiled numbers that looked like a typo. 2,260 passing yards, 24 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions. He led the FCS in touchdown passes despite playing fewer games than most competitors. UIW finished ranked 13th nationally, their highest ranking ever. Ward claimed the Jerry Rice Award as the FCS's top freshman, and suddenly the football world started to take notice of the quarterback no one had wanted. Fall 2021 was when Ward truly broke out. He started the season on fire and never cooled down. Against Southeastern Louisiana in Week 9, he delivered a performance for the ages, 610 yards and 7 touchdowns, the kind of video game numbers that forced the football world to pay attention. By season's end, Ward had amassed 4,648 passing yards and 47 touchdowns, while leading UIW to a 10-3 record and a conference championship. The no-name program had become a legitimate FCS contender, and their quarterback was now one of the most prolific passers in college football. At any level, those who had missed on Ward in high school were noticing. Power 5 coaches started calling. When Ward entered the transfer portal after the season, he wasn't that overlooked kid anymore. He was a prize. But loyalty runs deep with Ward. When his head coach Eric Morris took the offensive coordinator job at Washington State, Ward followed him to Pullman, announcing his decision with a tweet that perfectly captured his journey. Top floor, didn't take the elevator, I climbed my way up. When Cam Ward stepped off the plane in Pullman, Washington in January 2022, he entered a different world. The remote college town, nestled in the Palouse region, was the polar opposite of Texas, cold, isolated, and blanketed in snow. For a kid who grew up in the Texas heat, it was culture shock in its purest form. The first time he saw the field dusted in snow, he just laughed, recalled a Washington State staffer. Different type of cold, literally and figuratively, but the change in scenery was part of the journey. New town, new stage, new pressures, and make no mistake, the jump from FCS to the Pac-12 wasn't just a step up. It was a leap into a different stratosphere. The offensive line struggles didn't help. Ward would eventually absorb 46 sacks in his first Pac-12 season, a trial by fire that tested both his toughness and his resolve. But rather than shrinking from the challenge, he leaned in. Late nights in the film room, extra reps with receivers under the lights, working on mechanics, timing, anticipation. You could see the hunger in how he approached each practice. By the time Washington State opened the 2022 season against Idaho, Ward wasn't just settling in, he was ready to announce himself. He threw for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns in a comfortable win. Then came a signature moment, leading the Cougars to an upset over 19th-ranked Wisconsin, announcing to the college football world that his FCS success wasn't a fluke. The 2022 season had its ups and downs. For every brilliant performance, there were growing pains. Ward finished with 3,231 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Solid but not spectacular numbers that reflected both his immense talent and his ongoing development. But 2023, that's when Cam Ward declared, "I'm not just here. I'm here to own it." From the opening game, there was new confidence in his step. Ward was no longer reacting to the speed of the Power 5 game. He was dictating it. His pre-snap reads sharpened. His releases quickened. His understanding of leverages and coverages deepened. Most importantly, his signature creativeness. Those Mahomes-style sidearm lasers and off-platform darts began to flourish within structure rather than outside it. Against Oregon State, he engineered another top 25 upset with a performance that had NFL scouts buzzing. Against rival Washington, he went toe-to-toe with Michael Penix Jr. in a shootout that showcased his big game potential. By season's end, Ward had elevated his game across the board. 3,735 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, to just 7 interceptions, plus 8 more scores on the ground. He had etched his name into Washington State record books and established himself as one of the Pac-12's premier quarterbacks. As the 2023 season concluded, Ward faced a crossroads. The NFL was calling. Early draft projections had him as a day 2 selection, likely second or third round. For a player who started with 0 stars, it represented validation. For a competitor like Ward, it felt incomplete. On New Year's Day 2024, he made his decision, declaring for the NFL draft in a video announcement that seemed to close one chapter and open another. What's up? It's Cam Ward, and I'll be declaring for the 2024 NFL Draft. The announcement made perfect sense. After proving himself at both the FCS and Power 5 levels, after accumulating nearly 11,000 passing yards and 100 touchdowns across 3 seasons, Ward had little left to prove in college. Washington State fans expressed their gratitude. Scouts began finalizing their reports. The next chapter was set. Then, less than 2 weeks later, Ward dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the football world. He was withdrawing from the draft and transferring to Miami for his final year of eligibility. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't fear. This was chess, not checkers. Ward and his inner circle, family, mentors, and his trainer Daryl Cooper Jr. had methodically assessed the landscape. The 2024 quarterback class was stacked. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, all were projected first-rounders. Ward, despite his production, was looking at being the 6th quarterback taken at best, likely on day 2 of the draft. "I took it personal," Ward would later explain. "I tell myself every day that I'm the best. I wake up and tell myself I'm the best player in the country every day, and I really stand by that." Cooper provided additional context. He felt he was a first-round draft pick. We had a conversation the other day, and he was like, "Shoot, I would at least win 10 games in Miami." Miami offered everything Ward needed for his final college showcase. A bigger spotlight, a pro-style offense under coach Mario Cristobal, NFL caliber weapons, and the kind of national attention that comes with putting on the orange and green. The U wasn't just a school, it was a brand, a pipeline, a place where quarterbacks go to get Sunday ready. While preparing for his Miami debut, Ward continued training alongside another quarterback with first-round aspirations, Shedeur Sanders. The two pushed each other relentlessly, their friendly competition raising both their games. Iron sharpens iron, Cooper noted of their training sessions. Those two have a great relationship. They competed, they learned from each other, and they both got better. The summer of 2024 hit differently in Miami. The streets were buzzing, expectations were soaring, and all eyes were on the transfer quarterback who had bet everything on himself by returning for one final college season. On paper, there was supposed to be a quarterback competition. In reality, that talk ended the moment Cam Ward laced up his cleats for the first practice. The 6'2" Texan moved differently, calm, commanding, like this was his show and everyone else was just learning their lines. Coaches saw it, players respected it, and the fan base felt it in their bones. Cam Ward was that dude. No cap. Then the season started, and Ward came out of the gate cooking. Opening night, Miami traveled to Gainesville to face the Florida Gators in one of college football's most hostile environments. While most quarterbacks might have felt the pressure of the moment, Ward treated it like a backyard game. The final stat line: 385 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a dominant 41-17 victory that silenced 90,000 Gator fans and turned doubters into believers with just one performance. It was like watching a pro playing against college kids, noted one ESPN analyst afterward. From there, Ward only got better. The moment that truly cemented Ward's legacy came in mid-October against California. Miami, ranked in the top 10 and undefeated, found themselves in a nightmare scenario, down 25 points at halftime in Berkeley, their perfect season slipping away. What followed was the stuff of legend. Ward engineered a comeback for the ages, throwing for 437 yards and leading a game-winning drive in the final minutes. The final score, 39-38, barely captured the drama or the brilliance of Ward's performance. After the Cal comeback, it was like the floodgates opened. Ward tore through the ACC schedule with surgical precision. He led Miami to a decisive win over rival Florida State, even catching a touchdown on a trick play just for style points. That victory alone had Hurricanes fans talking about the glory days returning to the U. The production was staggering. 4,313 passing yards, breaking the Miami single-season record previously held by legends like Ken Dorsey and Gino Torretta. His 39 touchdown passes not only set a new Hurricane benchmark, but led the entire nation, all with just 7 interceptions, a demonstration of how his decision-making had evolved. By season's end, Miami stood at 10-2. Their first 10-win season since 2017. Only narrow losses to Georgia Tech and Syracuse kept them from the college football playoff, but the turnaround was undeniable. Ward had transformed a program that had been mired in mediocrity for over a decade. The accolades poured in: ACC Player of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, the Davey O'Brien Award, the Manning Award, consensus All-American honors. When the Heisman ceremony rolled around, Ward was in New York as a finalist, the first Miami quarterback to receive that honor in over 20 years. What makes Cam Ward special isn't just one trait. It's the rare combination of physical tools, mental processing, and competitive resilience that separates elite quarterbacks from merely talented ones. But if there's one characteristic that defines Ward's game, it's anticipation, the ability to see openings before they exist and throw receivers open rather than waiting for them to create separation. There is one dominant, dynamic quarterback characteristic that trumps all others, and Cam Ward has got it, notes football analyst Brett Coleman. He doesn't have the biggest arm, size, speed, or strength, but the way he anticipates receivers coming open before they're open translates directly to success in the NFL. This anticipation allows Ward to thrive against zone coverage, which makes up approximately 65% of defensive snaps in the NFL, while many college quarterbacks struggle to adjust to the tighter windows of professional football. Ward has already demonstrated the ability to thread needles and exploit leverage in ways that suggest a seamless transition. Beyond anticipation, Ward's pocket presence stands out as elite. He doesn't just scramble to escape. He maneuvers to extend plays while keeping his eyes downfield. Against Cal, in that famous comeback, Miami's offensive line collapsed multiple times, yet Ward consistently found ways to reset, climb, or slide within the pocket to create clean throwing lanes. At Washington State, this skill was even more apparent. Behind an often leaky offensive line, Ward took just 21 sacks in his final season, a testament to his ability to feel pressure and avoid it without bailing on plays prematurely. Then there's the arm talent. Not just strength, but versatility. Ward can make every throw in the book, from zipped out routes, from the far hash to layered fades that drop in over coverage. His sidearm delivery, once viewed skeptically by scouts, has proven functionally beneficial, allowing him to change arm angles to work around defenders and find throwing lanes that conventional mechanics wouldn't permit. His ability to create when structure breaks down makes comparisons to Deshaun Watson or early career Russell Wilson feel more like compliments than exaggerations. One NFL scout noted, "He's not just a gunslinger, he's a controlled chaos artist." What's particularly impressive about Ward's skill set is its evolution. He didn't arrive at Incarnate Word as a finished product. Each season, at each stop, he improved specific aspects of his game. At UIW, he showcased raw talent and playmaking. At Washington State, he developed timing and rhythm within structure. At Miami, he perfected his pre-snap reads and decision-making. The numbers reflect this growth. His completion percentage jumped from 61% at UIW to 67% at Miami. His touchdown to interception ratio improved each year. His turnover-worthy plays decreased while his big-time throws increased. From the moment the Tennessee Titans secured the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the connection to Cam Ward felt almost preordained. A franchise quarterback needy team with the top selection in a year, when the consensus best quarterback also happened to embody everything they'd been missing. It seemed too perfect. But the fit between Ward and Tennessee goes far deeper than draft position. It's a marriage of player, scheme, organizational direction, and franchise identity that could transform both parties. Start with the coaching. Brian Callahan didn't just coordinate any offense in Cincinnati. He helped mold Joe Burrow into a franchise savior. Under Callahan's guidance, Burrow evolved from a highly touted prospect into one of the NFL's elite passers, particularly excelling in anticipation, pre-snap reads, and creating outside structure when plays break down. Sound familiar? Those are precisely the traits that make Ward special. "I like confidence," Callahan said after attending Ward's pro day. "You can tell he came from a really good family. He's fun to be around, but he's also serious and focused. He wants to be great." Callahan's offense in Cincinnati and now in Tennessee emphasizes quick reads, layered route concepts, pre-snap control, and creative improvisation when structure fails. Ward thrived in exactly this type of system at Miami, where he operated a pro-style offense with RPO elements, adjusted protections at the line of scrimmage, and regularly shredded zone defenses with anticipation and timing. Then there's the personnel fit. The 2025 Titans aren't the 2022 version anymore. Derrick Henry is long gone. A.J. Brown won't be walking back through that door. But this isn't a barren cupboard either. Tennessee made major moves to prepare for their rookie quarterback. They revamped the offensive line, bringing in veteran Kevin Zeitler at guard, Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle, and moving former first-round pick J.C. Latham back to his natural right tackle position, creating bookends to protect their investment. At the skill positions, Calvin Ridley provides a proven veteran presence at wide receiver, while the backfield duo of Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears offers versatility in both the running and passing games. It's not a top 5 supporting cast, but it's functional, and more importantly, it's built to accentuate Ward's strengths. Don't be surprised if Tennessee uses day 2 of the draft to add Xavier Restrepo, Ward's top target from Miami, creating instant chemistry out of the slot. That connection produced over 1,000 yards in their lone season together and could provide Ward with an immediate comfort zone at the professional level. In a league where quarterback play defines franchise trajectories, Cam Ward represents more than just a talented prospect for the Tennessee Titans. He embodies the potential for complete organizational rebirth. The parallels to the last transformative quarterback in Nashville are impossible to ignore. Steve McNair arrived in 1995 when the franchise was still the Houston Oilers, becoming the face of their Tennessee transition and eventually leading them to their only Super Bowl appearance. Since McNair's departure in 2005, the Titans have cycled through a quarterback carousel. Vince Young, Kerry Collins, Matt Hasselbeck, Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, with flashes of promise but never sustainable excellence. That's the vacuum Ward would step into, a nearly 2-decade void of true franchise quarterback play. He's not just another quarterback prospect, explains former NFL scout Daniel Jeremiah. He's got that special quality where teammates gravitate toward him. The Titans aren't just drafting a player. They're potentially getting an identity they've been missing. Realistically, what would success look like in year one? History suggests tempering immediate expectations. Even the most talented rookie quarterbacks typically experience growing pains. C.J. Stroud's exceptional 2023 campaign, 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, is more the exception than the rule. A more reasonable projection might be 3,500 yards, 20 to 24 touchdowns, and development that trends upward as the season progresses. The win-loss record will likely reflect this learning curve. While the Titans have improved their roster, they're still rebuilding. A 7-10 or 8-9 record would represent significant progress from their 3-14 finish in 2024. But Ward's impact would be measured beyond mere statistics. It would be seen in the energy at Nissan Stadium, in the team's competitive spirit even in defeat, and in the culture shift that happens when players believe they have the guy under center. What makes Ward's potential especially exciting is the chip-on-shoulder mentality he brings. This isn't a player who's been handed anything. From zero-star recruit to FCS breakthrough to Power 5 transfer to Miami gamble, Ward has consistently bet on himself and won. Even now, with all he's accomplished, he still plays with something to prove, notes quarterback trainer Darryl Cooper Jr. That's not going away when he gets to the NFL. If anything, it'll intensify. The story of Cam Ward isn't just about football. It's about perception versus reality. It's about systems that overlook talent. It's about the power of self-belief when the world tells you no. From the dusty fields of West Columbia, Texas, to the bright lights of the NFL draft, Ward has embodied perseverance at every turn. He wasn't supposed to be here, not as an FCS freshman breaking records, not as a Power 5 transfer shocking the Pac-12, not as a Miami star setting hurricane records, and certainly not as the potential first overall pick in the NFL draft. But that's precisely what makes his journey so compelling. The zero-star recruit with one scholarship offer has climbed the mountain that seemed insurmountable. The quarterback whose high school system hid his talent is now positioned to become the face of an NFL franchise. Cam Ward didn't take the elevator to the top floor. He built the staircase himself, step by painstaking step. Now he stands ready to lead a franchise that needs exactly what he brings: talent, resilience, and the quiet confidence that comes from proving doubters wrong at every level. Will it work? That's the beautiful uncertainty of sports. But if history has taught us anything about Cam Ward, it's this: betting against him has always been a losing proposition. What do you think? Will Cam Ward actually turn the Titans around? And was he truly the best quarterback in this class? Or just the safest bet? Let us know in the comments if you believe Ward has the ceiling to become a top 10 NFL quarterback, or if his unorthodox path indicates limitations at the next level. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Cam Ward's journey and potential impact on the Titans, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth NFL documentaries. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. Share this with a friend who's still on the fence about Cam Ward. And while you're here, check out our other videos now appearing on screen.